Greetings! How is everybody today? So I just want to start with, if you are logging in and watching, you can go to StreamYard.com/Facebook to give StreamYard permission to list your name. And so when you comment, I know who you are. That's the first thing. And that'll be in the comments below too. And let's see. Did you start playing horn and you have no idea why you're putting your hand in the bell? Or are you an educator and you're not exactly sure what to tell your students? Or are you just a curious listener and by the way, a really good observer who wants to know, why the heck are you putting your hand in the bell of your instrument? Because really, it's the only instrument that does that, right? So today, I welcome you here, and I'm going to talk about what the hand is doing in the bell and what it does. Now, first thing is thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we're at Horn Talk, tips, tricks, and licks. Say that 10 times fast. And if you're watching on the replay, no problem. Just give me a hashtag replay. I always appreciate your hearts, your comments, your sprinkling of this around, giving it to others to view. In our community here, the more we do that, the more the algorithms make us stand out for others to see. So let's get started. If after this, you'd like a little bit more information about the horn or how this works with your hand in the bell, no problem. Let me know. What you can do is give me a hashtag horn call down below, and I'll contact you and we'll set up a time and see how I can serve you. How can I help you? And no, it could just be a little conversation. No big deal. Okay. So I am Cindy, and I am going to be discussing the one question I get asked more than any other question is, right? What the heck is your hand doing in the bell of the French horn? Because honestly, it's the only instrument that uses that. The only instrument that we put our hand in the bell for. So if you just started playing, or you teach band or orchestra in the school and you might not really know exactly, you have an idea, but you're not exactly sure what's going on there, and then you're in the right place. Or if you're curious, great, glad you came today. So let's discuss a little bit of it first. Some of it has to do with the history of the horn. So this is a modern day horn, a modern day instrument. It's called instrument, modern technology, right? But before that, it sort of started with things like this that were natural. And so this was like a signaling to somebody. They'd find a conch shell. This is a conch shell. Cut the end off. It's hollow, right? So you can blow. See if I can do this. It only gets one pitch. It's a little bit of it's not really a mouthpiece. It's just a flat surface with a hole. So you're still playing it the same way as a horn. But anyways, it's like a signal instrument. So they started with this before we had modern day instruments to use maybe, hey, come back here, time to do whatever. It's like they would have like a rhythm because it's one pitch to call somebody back. Now we went from signals, and then they could use other things. So for example, possibly an animal horn. This is a Renaissance horn, so it's not exactly, but it could be used for the same thing back then. And let's see if I can get a pitch today. So it'd be the same thing. They'd maybe play a rhythm. It's same thing that's hollow, so they cut the end off, so you could blow into it. And then it evolved into something more along the lines of this that you would see. And they're hunting on the horses, and maybe they're trying to get the fox. They're hunting the fox, something like that, something along those lines. They're on their horses. They've got this, and that maybe they're at the back of the pack, and they want to say they saw something, and they get this out and signal. This is more of a toy. Doesn't really play as much or the same, but it would be the same thing as the other two things where it's one pitch and you're playing a rhythm or something to signal. So it was modern day technology. Look, we have phones, cell phones, and all kinds of electronic technology that, of course, they didn't have back then, right? So that was what those were used for. Eventually, it evolved into the natural horn. And this book is an awesome book. It's called The Horn by Jansky and Bernard Bruchel. I probably can't pronounce this right. But anyways, I'll put it in the chat later. But anyways, it has a history of the horn. This is a really great book if you're interested in it. But with this natural horn, what do you notice? There's no what? Valves. There's no valves. So when it got to the point where it wasn't just used for communicating and sending signals, and then they were playing in things, they didn't have these things that we have today on our modern instrument. So they would have to use their hand in the bell for different pitches. That's how the hands started. So today we still play that way. So that's a little bit of the history. Now, when you play one pitch on any valve combination on a brass instrument, a horn in particular, you're playing the harmonic series. That's what it's called. It's a series of notes. Frequencies change as you go up in pitch. So it sounds something like this. And so on. And as you notice, as you get higher, the notes get closer together. But if they wanted to play a piece, some music, and they wanted to play in whatever key, they had different size slides or crooks, depending on the key. When they invented these valves, they didn't use them originally like we did today. They were using them for different keys and still originally using the hand in the bell. Now, if you were playing on a natural horn and not using valves, you could play a scale just with your hand in the horn. So if I play a regular scale with valves, that's today, modern instrument. Now, if I do it with my hand, there's different positions that your hand would use to play the same scale without valves. So see if you can see. And that's sort of what they would do back then with the hand in the bell. And that's kind of how it started. Now, today, we use our hand in the bell for intonation, for color, to stay in tune, because they still kept that characteristic sound of the hand in the bell. So if you don't put your hand in the bell, you're going to use a lot of more of your chops, of your mouth of your embouchure, then you need to play in tune with other people in an ensemble. So if I were to play a note and take my hand out of the bell, listen really closely. What does the pitch do? Does it stay the same or does it change? What happened? So let me know below. And if you're watching on the replay, totally fine. If you're watching on a replay, let me know. Welcome. Just give me a hashtag replay. If you end up having some more questions later, you can ask me. I'll come back and check. Also, you could give me a hashtag horn call and we could set up a time to talk and we can just see how I can help you. But anyways, the pitch, if I take my hand out of the bell, rises. And you don't want to have to work that hard with your mouth. Now, your hand is also, because it's helping you play in tune now, it's also an extension of your instrument. So there's various positions to put your hand in. And when you're a really young beginner and maybe the instrument is a little big for you and you're starting out at the very beginning, maybe where you put your hand is a little different initially. And eventually, as you get a little bigger and you can hold the horn better, then you really start paying more attention to where you're going to put it. So like if you're very young and you're sitting, maybe your bell is on the leg, or it could be even on a chair next to you if you're too small. It might be on the opposite side of where most people put it. But after you get big enough, it's somewhere on the other side. Now there's various ways to put it. But if you're playing, say, your natural horn scale with your hand in the bell, you want to think of it like a door. You're closing the door. So there's different amounts to seal it. But if your hand is up here, you can't do that. That you have to move. So it needs to be in a position where you can do that. And there's also different things that we do with our bell for color. The coloristic things are called, there's different things. One is stopped horn. So you can't do stopped horn from a different position. It's harder. It's easier to just, now the position might vary from person to person. There's always more details to talk about, but the basic is just, you're not shoving your hand in the bell further to play stopped horn. You're sealing the bell. So when we do that, so if I play this on regular horn, now I play stopped horn. You see the color is different now, but it's the same note, right? And I'm doing this to seal it. So there's multiple reasons why we put our hand in the bell, and some of them are for color. And even intonation and tuning and playing in tune, you can still do little minor things with your hand to change the color of your sound. Horn is awesome like that. And then when you learn how to do some of those things, you don't get as tired in your mouth, in your embouchure playing, because we have all these little muscles here. So there's some of the things that we do. Now there's other things that the hand can do stylistically, like that's kind of fun, just kind of fun stuff. Like you can do some scoops. Let's see. You know, something jazzy maybe. It's kind of cool. And there's other things. There's besides stopped horn, there's used for other things, echo horn, and there's different ways to do that with your hand. So, but that's a little bit too detailed for today. And if you have any questions, let me know below. If you have any questions or you want to talk to me further, just give me a hashtag horn call. And by the way, while we're talking about it, feel free. You can touch the notifications. So next time I go live, you'll see this. If you share with others, maybe you have a friend that just started playing. Maybe you know somebody that's really curious. Maybe you're an educator. You have some friends. Go ahead and share. Go ahead and sprinkle this. When we're talking about this, I mean, there's much more details that we can get into about the history. There's more details about all the very specific things about the hand in there. So, but that is the basics. That's the basics. So let's go over this, kind of a speedy recap. So first of all, it started with the history. We started with a little bit of the history of the horn, and it started as a signal instrument and developed into a brass instrument that was maybe more for fanfares and calls and something similar to this. Then it evolved into more of an ensemble instrument, like a natural horn like this. Fortunately, I don't have one of those sitting here to show you right now. And then they developed valves. And initially, they were using the valves the same way the natural horn did. In order to play in an ensemble and play some of the notes that aren't in what we call the harmonic series, you would use your hand in different amounts of closing it off all the way or part way to play the notes in between the harmonic series so they could play music with other instruments. So we had the history. Then we talked about how if you take your hand in and out, it changes the pitch. It changes your intonation. And this is still, in this day and age, a way to control playing in tune, playing the same frequency pitch as other instruments, playing with good intonation and playing nicely in tune, and not having to muscle it with our mouth, our embouchure as much. And then we talked about how it actually lengthens the horn also to help you play in tune. And then there's all these other things you can do with the hand, tricks and sounds and nuances to your sound that is unique to horn, unique to French horn. So I hope that gave you a little bit of information. This is the one question I always get asked. Every time I play, every time somebody says, oh, you play that, oh, why do you stick? I'm school concerts, other concerts, people always ask this. So even if you're not a horn player or an educator, sometimes this kind of stuff, like, people just want to find out what's going on there. So, hey, thank you for tuning in. I'm here. I'll be here next Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Horn talks, tips, tricks, and licks. And if you have any questions, let me know below. And press that notification button so you'll see when I go live next time. I'd be happy to get back to you if you're watching on the replay, Or if you're just catching the end and you want to go back, just let me know that you were here. Give me a hashtag replay. If you have any questions, you want to get in contact with me, let me know. You can put hashtag horn call and I'll get back to you and see what I can do to help you. And everybody have a super rest of your day. I hope that you listen to fabulous music today. And if you play an instrument, I hope that you pick it up and play something you love today. All right. Have a great day. Bye.